Hi friends, get hyped because the Season 11 patch notes for Apex Legends Escape are now live. In this video I'm just going to read through the patch notes, I'll keep it simple, and I'll try and pick out the interesting things that you'll want to know before you jump into Season 11 on Tuesday. So let's jump straight into it. So obviously we've got the new legend Ashe. Here it says, a new legend with a familiar face. Ashe has overseen the arenas from the shadows and held a tight grip on Pathfinder's heart. A simulacrum made from the woman who was once Dr. Ashley Reed. Ashe is determined to eliminate every trace of weakness that held her back as a human, detecting death wherever she goes, spearing enemies with electric snares that lock them in place, tearing through space to take more lives. It would be easy to think there was nothing human left within that cold steel. But a trace of the human doctor remains, a greater threat to Ashe than any legend in the ring. So that's just a bit of Ashe's background. I actually did a whole video on Ashley Reed and Ashe's full backstory, so go check that out if you're interested. It also has Ashe's abilities, so Ashe's passive is marked for death. So Ashe's map shows the location of recent death boxes. She gets a special prompt on a death box, use it to mark surviving attackers once per box. So basically on a death box, you can use Ashe's passive and it will show you the people that killed the person for that death box. So that's quite a useful one. It could be quite good for ranked, that one. Tactical arc snare. So Ashe can throw a spinning snare that damages and tethers the first enemy that gets close to it. We saw this in the gameplay trailer and it looks quite cool. Ultimate phase breach. Tear open a one-way portal to a targeted location. This portal stays open for a short time, during which anyone can use it. I describe it as something in between Wraith's portal and Loba's tactical ability. You kind of need to aim it like you would Loba's bracelet, and then you fire it and it creates kind of like a portal like Wraith, but it's one way as it says here, so you can't go back through the portal. Okay, and now on to the balance changes. This is the stuff you've all been waiting for, because we've got the legend buffs and nerfs and the weapon buffs and nerfs. And we start with Wattson. I know lots of people want Wattson changes, so let's see what they've got for us. And let's start with the dev note. Move aside Ashe, this is Wattson's season. We're ecstatic to finally share some long anticipated Wattson improvements. Her win rate and encounter rate have always been above average. This could be for a multitude of reasons. The defensive playstyle correlates to higher average placements. Wattson mains are die-hard loyalists, and her hitbox has always been the smallest in the game ever since Lifeline's adjustment. Regardless, much of the high-level data that we've shared doesn't match perception. Play a few games as Wattson and you'll often find yourself wanting more out of her kit. The goal of these changes is to redistribute her invisible power into the parts of her kit that shape the battlefield in a unique way. We wanted to see what changes could spark more consistency and efficiency in her kit, and ideally ground some of the difficulties surrounding the way her abilities work. We want to enable more active gameplay from Wattson players by smoothing out the rough edges in placing fences. Responsiveness tweaks, longer range, and faster cooldowns mean that Wattson can be much more quickly and reliably set up a defensive position, or even use her fences and pylon in the midst of an open combat in a pinch. So let's see what those actually mean. So general. They've improved the reliability and responsiveness of placing Wattson's tactical and ultimate in world objects. Wattson can place her tactical and ultimate objects on valid surfaces above Wattson's eye level to a reasonable extent. Her hitbox size increased to compensate for the removal of low profile in the legacy update. Interesting, so that's kind of a nerf. They've made the hitbox slightly bigger. Only very slightly though. I don't think it will make a huge difference, but it is definitely bigger. You can see here before and after. They've also made some buff to the stats, so to Wattson's tactical, they've increased damage on crossing a fence by 33%, so it now does 20 damage. That could be really strong. And that's a really good deterrent to not go through a Wattson fence now actually. They've also increased debuff duration on crossing a fence by 100%. Wow, so it's now got a 3-second delay when you go through the fence. They've also increased the time allowance to be hit again by subsequent fence by 100%. Ah, okay, I see. So they've increased the time you get affected by the fence for, but they've also then increased the delay between being hit by a fence again. They've also decreased the recharge time by 50%, down to 15 seconds. Again, that's a really strong buff. And they've increased placement range by 50%, so you can place it much further in front of you. These are definitely some really good buffs, and these two are really good buffs. This is a bit of a nerf, but I think it's fine because these other buffs are so strong. They've also decreased the delay between fences shutting off and reactivating after an ally passes through them by 60%. Again, another really strong buff. So fences will come back up a lot quicker. So you can lure enemies now through fences a lot easier, I'd imagine. Wattson now moves at unarmed speed while readying placing fence nodes. Again, that's a really good buff. You can basically have your fence nodes out and you can place them a lot faster. Fence nodes can now be placed as soon as the weapon is readied, instead of waiting for the animation to finish. Again, another nice buff. So all of this basically means her fences are going to be more effective in dealing damage, but also more efficient in the way that you can place the fences. That's a good buff. This is going to make Wattson really strong. Let's look at her ultimate. The pylon output has been significantly reworked, reduced the number of active pylons Wattson can place from 3 to 1. The pylon now lasts forever, instead of timing out after 90 seconds. Oh, that's such a good buff. It actually used to be like this in the old days, so Wattson's pylon now lasts forever. The pylon now has a pool of 250 shields that can be distributed to nearby players, instead of effectively infinite shields. Okay, so that's a little bit of a nerf. Before you could literally just stand by a pylon and it could heal your whole shield, but now it limits it to 250. They've increased the pylon shield recharge rate by 150%, wow, that's really fast. And smooth regen rate, it's gone from 2 seconds to 5 seconds, so basically you'll recharge your shields a lot faster, but they max it out at 250. When a pylon is out of shields, it no longer recharges players' shields, but can still zap incoming ordnance. Taking damage while recharging shields via the pylon delays continued regeneration by 1 second. Again, some really good buffs there, a little bit of a nerf, but overall, for sure, a big buff here. A few other little changes: the UI on the ground and the HUD elements now display the amount of shields that remain in the pylon. So actually this was something that showed the time before when they had 3, but instead of the time, it will now show the amount of shields. Again, this could be really useful. Pinging a friendly pylon will now display the percentage of shields remaining in the pylon. Pylon ordnance zapping has been moderately reworked. Ordnance is now zapped when the pylon detects that it would hit any surface within range and line of sight of the pylon, instead of zapping as soon as it comes in range. Okay, so the ordnance has to be within range and also line of sight. Current issues where the pylon doesn't reliably zap ordnance, particularly concerning airstrike abilities, and ordnance that bounced off surfaces near the pylon, should now be addressed. And that's it for the Wattson changes. I think Wattson fans can be pretty happy. The hitbox is going to be a little bit of an issue, but to be honest, it's not a huge increase, so I wouldn't worry too much about the hitbox. I think there's enough improvements here to make Wattson a useful legend. Okay, moving on to balance changes for weapons and gear. And it starts with the supply drop rotation. So this season, the triple take returns to floor loot, and taking its place is the G7 Scout. The G7 enters the supply drop with its old friend, the double tap. Oh, that's awesome. The double tap used to be so strong on the G7. In terms of hop-ups, they've got dual shell. Each round loaded into the Mastiff or the 30-30 repeater is doubled. Ooh, okay, that's quite a cool hop-up actually. And we've also got the fully kitted rotation, so they've added the Mastiff, the repeater, the 301, the car, and the longbow, and they've removed the Peacekeeper, Rampage, RE45, Flatline, and Charge Rifle. So for reference, these are the gold weapons that you find in certain locations. They've now been replaced. Moving on to the EVA 8, fire rate reduction from 2.1 to 2.0. So that's a nerf for you EVA 8 fans. It's going to be a little bit slower in firing. It's only 0.1 though, so in theory you shouldn't notice it too much. Moving on to the Peacekeeper, they've slightly increased pellet size. That could be good. That could be really good. Choke up time reduced from 1.5 to 1.25. Choked up shots remain tight for slightly longer when exiting ADS. Ooh, that's a really big buff. That means you can kind of quickscope now and still get the full benefits of the ADS, but also the benefits of kind of a hipfire movement. So I think this is going to be really strong. Overall, the Peacekeeper's had a pretty solid buff. Onto the longbow, damage reduction from 60 to 55. I think that makes a lot of sense. The longbow was shredding last season. or this season I should say, in Season 10. The L-Star, reduced barrel effectiveness at all rarity tiers, significantly reduced projectile collision size, damage reduced from 18 to 17. Wow, a big nerf to the L-Star. One of the best things about the L-Star is its bullet size, so it seems like they've reduced that, so that's going to make the L-Star slightly less effective. Also, the barrels made the L-Star really easy to control, especially a purple barrel. So again, this is quite a big nerf. And again, the damage has been nerfed, so another big nerf. These are basically 3 nerfs for the L-Star. Okay, so I think the L-Star is probably not going to be meta in Season 11. Moving on to the G7. Damage increased from 34 to 36. Of course, it's going to the care package, so the damage needs to be strong. And they've added the double tap. Supply drop weapon rates. Early game crate weapon rate increased from 25% to 50%, mid game 50% to 75%, and late game 75% to 100%. That's awesome, so you should definitely have a better chance of finding weapons now in the care packages. Moving on, hot zone gold loot rates. They've increased the amount of gold loot that spawns in hot zones. That's really good because hot zones this season were pretty trash. So this is a good improvement, I would say. Moving on to crafting. They've increased ammo from crafting. Oh, this is so good. It made no sense to me before why you only got 20 ammo when it was costing you crafting materials that you couldn't use for other more useful things. So they've now increased it to 60, so you basically get a full stack of ammo. This is really good. I'm happy with this change. And you guys should be as well. This is a good one. Because of that, they are increasing it to 10 per weapon. But to be honest, I'd quite happily pay an extra 5. So you now pay 10 in total instead of 5. But you get a full stack, so I'd quite happily do that. They're also increasing Evo armor points from crafting, increased from 100 to 150. Again, really useful. But because of this, they're increasing the cost by 5. I must say, I don't mind increasing it by 5 if you're getting an extra 50 HP to your Evo armor. They've also replaced the sniper bundle with a shotgun bundle featuring the dual shell. Okay, that's pretty cool. Enemy NPC updates. Prowler health across the game has gone up from 90 to 114. Wow, okay. Prowlers will be slightly harder to kill then. Do watch out for that, guys. Prowlers on World's Edge and Flyers on King's Canyon now reward Evo points, 25%. All damage done to AI now progresses to your Evo armor. Okay, nice. So basically the amount of damage you do to these wildlife, you'll get 25% of it, at least for World's Edge and King's Canyon. Okay, let's move on to the ranked updates. Now there's some big updates for ranked, so if any of you that are watching this video play ranked, you'll want to listen to this part, because these are some good changes, I think. It starts by saying, "Hello legends, let's take a quick look at ranked in Emergence Shaped Up and review the changes coming in Escape. Ranked continues to attract a large portion of players, around 40% of all playtime, but this doesn't mean we can't look to make improvements. Note, we fixed an issue where expired skydive trails remained accessible for longer than they should have. These trails will now expire on the intended seasonal cadence, as mentioned originally in the Ranked Season 3 post. That's really interesting, and it's actually something myself and my friends have noticed. Essentially, when Season 11 launches, you'll lose all of your old Diamond Dive trails. However, if you hit Diamond in Season 10, so this season, then obviously you'll still have the Diamond Dive trail for this season, in Season 11, when it launches. Anyway, this is what you really want to know. Ranked Battle Royale Escape. So this is how Battle Royale is going to work in Season 11. Skills in Apex can be evaluated in all sorts of ways. It's the amalgamation of gun skill, movement, positioning, awareness, legend mastery, and prevailing over everyone else as champion that separates the lowly bronze from the Apex predators. With this in mind, we want to provide more flexibility and nuance to how players can express skill when RP gains are at stake. Before Escape, measurements have been simple and straightforward. We grant RP based on kill points and a placement multiplier. Now we're easing back on some of the RP restrictions to offer other routes to max out kill related RP in a match. And this is the really good part you want to listen to. So TLDR, so just the summary. Kill RP values now take differences between killer and victim ranked tiers into account. The kill RP cap, as we have traditionally thought about it up to this point, is effectively being raised from 6 to 7. However, this kill-related RP cap can be reached in different ways depending on their differences and placement. placement is still paramount, and you must still place first to have a chance at max total RP. And they expand on this a little bit further. So to expand on the first point, tiered differences between the killer and the victim will be taken into account when calculating baseline kill point value. For example, if a platinum level player kills a diamond player, that kill counts as 12 instead of 10 RP. And they've done a little table here. So basically, if the person you kill is 3 tiers above you, you get 20 RP when you would have got 10, for example. However, if they're 3 below you, then you actually end up getting less RP. So this should basically balance it out. If you're playing against teams that are much better than you and getting kills, then you'll definitely gain more because of it. But likewise, if you're killing easier opponents, then it kind of makes sense that you shouldn't be getting loads of RP for it. And so they're trying to balance it out. And they give a bit more clarification here. Victims do not lose more or less points when killed, in terms of entry cost. Only the killer receives the modifier. So basically, you don't need to worry about losing more points just because you get matched against players that are better than you. This only applies to the amount of points you gain, not the entry cost. And the entry cost will actually remain the same. They also say Predator and Master are treated as the same tier. Also says an encounter rate with someone of a 3+ tier difference is ultra rare, less than 0.1%. Ranked matchmaking is staying the same, so in general, you'll come across identical tiers. In cases where you squad up with a different ranked friend or merge into a different tier lobby, your KP will be adjusted as appropriate. Or appropriately, as it says here. After tier differences are taken into account for kill points, a flat per kill bonus is added based on placement. So what it's saying is basically, the kill points you get vary based on the level or tier of the person you kill, right? And the base level is 10. However, depending where you place, you also get a bonus per kill on top of this, kill points. So it's allowing you to earn a lot more points a lot faster, which is, I think, a good thing actually. It also says the maximum kill point RP is 175. Any kill related RP that exceeds that after placement and tier modifiers are added doesn't affect total RP. The final step is to add a flat placement bonus. Enough with the maths, let's explain these changes with an example. So this should make it easier for you, so have a listen. As a platinum player, you party up with your diamond friend and matchmake into a lobby with similarly skilled players. You snag second place, with 6 kills and or assists against diamond players, and 3 on plat players. Each kill on those diamond players is worth 12 points, instead of the typical 10, because they are 1 rank tier higher than you. This leaves us with 12 times 6, because don't forget you got 6 against the diamond players, and then 10 times 3, because you got 3 against platinum players, which is the same level as you, so you only get the 10. And this will equal 102 RP. Now let's take placement into account. In second, the per kill bonus is 10, so on 9 kills, including assists, times 10 equals 90 RP. So basically you get 192 RP, but they did say the max you can get for kills is 175. And it does say you'll get a maximum of 175, so this first part will always max out the kill RP. You then add your bonus to it, you then add your placement points, and that's going to allow you to earn quite a lot of points as you get through ranked, especially if you're playing well, getting lots of kills, and essentially playing at a higher level than you currently are. So in theory, it means the good players should rank up a lot faster. So that's how ranked battle royale works. There's a bit on ranked arenas as well. It says, we've learnt a lot from our first season of ranked arenas and are eager to bring you some improvements. Arenas ranked now has 2 splits similar to battle royale. Okay, I imagine that'll be at the same time as well. So you now have to climb twice for ranked arenas. Along with each new season and split, there is a soft MMR reset and new placement matches. New seasons require the usual 10 placement matches, while a new split only requires 5. They do also say they've made improvements to matchmaking for finding similarly skilled teammates, and they've reduced the AP amount gained or lost from MMR differences between teams. And then there's a dev note that says the final calculated AP amount for a match is a factor of your current AP and MMR. It's also influenced by the MMR differences between teams. In practice, this difference was factoring in more than we wanted, i.e., losing a match you were slightly favoured to win was giving a bigger AP loss than designed. Okay, so that's a good note. So in theory it means those of you that were struggling with big AP losses and losing more AP than you would have if you won, hopefully this has been taken out with this little comment. Overall though, I think these are really good changes to ranked arenas and ranked battle royale, and I think you're going to get a lot of benefit if you're playing really well with a good team, you're getting the max kills, and you're getting the max placement points. You can really rank up a lot faster. Okay, let's look at the new map. This video is already long, so I won't spend too long on this, but obviously you know the new map is Storm Point, and the bit you need to know is that the Battle Royale map rotation has changed. You'll only have 2 maps, Storm Point and World's Edge. This means Olympus and King's Canyon have dropped out of the rotation for now. So at the start of Season 11, you'll only have these 2 maps, which is a good thing because World's Edge, I think, was the most balanced map in my opinion. And of course they want people to play the new map, so that's in the rotation. I'm sure we'll see Olympus and King's Canyon back at some point in the season, maybe halfway through the season, or maybe a little bit later on we'll get it through. Also, the arena map rotation has changed. Something interesting to note is that they're only using the specifically custom-made arena maps. So those BR locations that they were using, places like Oasis, are no longer going to be in the arena map rotation. The final piece to mention is the new weapon, the Car SMG. It's a flexible weapon and it can use light or heavy mags. It actually looks like a really good weapon, and Titanfall fans will tell you this is typically good at having low recoil and shooting on the move, and that's kind of what they say here. And that's kind of it for the patch notes. They've got a bunch of stuff for arenas, which to be honest I won't go through. I'll just let you go through it, and I'll put a link to these patch notes down below, because I know arenas isn't as popular as some of the other stuff we've covered already. And I bet the video is really long, so I won't bore you with that. There's also a bunch of bug fixes to legends and weapons and audio and all of that kind of good stuff. Again, I won't read over it. I'll put the link to the patch notes down below because I don't want the video to be even longer than it is, so go check them out. But for now though, I'd say there's some really good stuff to these patch notes. Some good changes to the weapons. I think Wattson has had a really amazing buff, and I think she's going to be really strong this season. I really like what they've done with Ranked as well. I think Ranked is going to be really good for Battle Royale. Plus the new weapon, Ash, and the new map look amazing, and I can't wait to see Season 11. It's going to be so hyped. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got so much Season 11 content coming your way, so keep a lookout. For now though, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.